So I recently bought a house, and I did a few videos on it, my nicotine house at a foreclosure auction. Some of the questions that I get when buying in this way at a foreclosure auction, I want to go over that with you today. And so I'm talking about a courthouse foreclosure auction. They come up to the steps of the courthouse or front door or wherever it's designated, and they start auctioning off this piece of property. What are some things that you want to know before you go down to one of these auctions and try to or do purchase a house or a piece of property, a piece of real estate? So as much as possible, that's what you want to know. That's the main thing. I mean, because these are as is, unforgiving, literally do not care. You're not getting your money back. If there's a hole in the roof, the AC doesn't work, the electrical's all messed up, it's infested with rats and roaches or whatever, nobody cares. Nobody feels sorry for you. As soon as that auction's over, you got to pay for the property, and you go your way, they go theirs. They'll mail you a deed in a month or so, and that's it. End of, that's it. As is, literally as is. So you want to know as much as you can. And then that's the hard part. A lot of times there's no access to these properties or limited access. So you want to know, in that case, is this an occupied property or is it vacant? Basically what that boils down to, and why you want to know those things: are you going to have to evict somebody? Are you going to have to do a cash for keys and pay somebody to move out? Because that's easier than doing a formal eviction and hiring attorneys and going through the eviction process and the time and things like that. So that allows you to plan for that. And so you're going to want to know, is this property occupied or vacant? If it's occupied or if it's vacant. And then if it's occupied, you're going to have a really hard time looking inside of it unless, and I talk to other investors that buy at these auctions, and we're there at the auctions. And I know there's instances where they'll pay the tenant or the owner and say, hey, can I look through the house? Will you give me a tour of the house? I'll give you $200 or I'll give you $300, and depending on the situation, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't work. So I've seen that happen. And then if it's a vacant house, maybe you can look through the windows if you do that sort of thing. I normally just go in, lowball at the auction and go from there. I don't really sneak up to houses. I don't ask if I can take a tour. I don't do any of those things, but I know there are other buyers at these auctions that will. And hey, everybody has their own strategies. Another thing that you're going to want to know: are there any liens other than this first lien that's being auctioned off today? Mortgage companies foreclosed on this, but is there any liens from the city? Any liens for work that's been done? If it's been mowed or boarded up by the city or something like that, they very well may have liens on that property for that work that's been done, and you very well may be responsible for paying those to get a clear title at some point. So the best way to check on that, in my experience, has been to get with a title company and have them run some title work, get an abstract or certificate, things like that. You can do title work, title search without actually getting title insurance. So that'll help uncover any additional liens, in my experience. You're going to want to know the date and the time of the auction. And a lot of times the time is a window of time, like, from 9 in the morning till 12 in the afternoon, we could have this auction. And they're not going to give you a lot of time notice. A lot of times I've seen them show up, read off what they're about to auction, ask if there's any bids. If there are bids, they take the bids. If there's not, within 30 seconds, they're gone and off to the next one, because they may have multiple at that location. They may be doing multiple counties where they're running around doing multiple on that same day. So like I said, these people are not always, hey guys, look, we're having an auction, and anybody that wants to bid, come on over here, and yeah, let's, there's not a lot of that in a lot of the instances. They'll make some sort of announcement that they're going to do it, and then they get right down to it in a lot of cases. And so you need to be prepared, know the time that they're going to be doing the auction, and then just hang out and wait. And, every time somebody walks up that looks like they could be doing one, you could ask them, are you here to do the auction for such and such property? And then be aware of what's going on. And then you want to know, after the auction, if you are the successful bidder, how are you going to pay? A lot of the times, these auctions, they'll just say, in the foreclosure listing, the posted notice, being sold to the highest bidder for cash. And a lot of times that's just a cashier's check and they want to be paid right then and there when that auction ends. A lot of times how I've done it, and I know a lot of other people do it, is you get cashier's checks from your bank made out in different denominations, and when that auction's over, you get those amount of checks and you endorse the back of those checks and hand them over to the trustee that did the sale, and wait for a deed to come in the mail, and now you're the proud owner of that property. These are a few things. Each one can be and probably will be different in some sort of fashion depending on who's conducting the sale, the property, and the circumstances around it. Read the foreclosure postings. If you can, get a hold of whoever's conducting the sale and see if they'll give you any additional information. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And like I said at the beginning, as much as possible, as much as you can find out about that property as possible, get it before the auction. In my experience, that's been the best thing. And they'll let you know, or they won't let you know, but as much research as you've done, if there's a tenant living in there, if there's the foreclosed owner living there, you want to know all that information. The more information, in my experience, the more successful you can be at these auctions. And I hope this helped. Check out the channel for some other videos. If you would, subscribe. See you on the next one.